Well, good Wednesday night. We are here at the Chain Gang studio I'm John Pope.
Stevie Ray.
Got
Coach Talbert.
Coach Talbert with us, man. How's your guys' week's been? Or your week?
Oh, mine's been pretty good. Yeah.
Those guys like that cooler weather for practice.
Yeah.
I bet they do.
Today was nice, real nice. Cloudy, everything.
Yeah. So we want to thank Coach Talbert for coming in, making himself available, talking Wildcat football with us. Hey, I want to get right into. We traveled last week to Marshfield, and it was all these games are important to us, obviously, but it's one that we knew would be tough. We're sitting up there, and it's senior night, and we're watching all these moms go to. It's a cool tradition they have. I really like it, but the moms announce the senior boys, and they have something to say about them and all this. And those senior boys are running onto the field pumped up, and moms are crying, and the crowd's cheering. And I'm like, I look at Alicia, I was like, they're going to be pumped, But we've talked the last few weeks about, I maybe have asked the question. Steve, I know I've asked the question. I don't know if Steven has. It seems like our offense has started off not bad. I mean, just kind of slow, trying to get that moment where they gel, and then they come on and we're fierce. We scored 14 points in 52 seconds. Is that what you said, Steven?
52.
There was no slow start Friday night.
No, and that's something, we've all been a little bit frustrated with. I don't, Coach Bruffett will tell you that, we're not starting slow. That's we're getting in our groove a little bit. And so, but he came out the gate and was aggressive, and we ran a kind of a fake screen. We run that Z screen quite a bit, and we ran our guy up the sideline, and man, what a great catch and great throw.
Rasmussen with the first touchdown, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got in behind him. So, I mean, what a way to start a game. And then, the kickoff after that. Well, I mean, they started the game with an onside kick. So,
good field position.
Yeah, great field position. Had a good run, and then scored the touchdown. And then, man, that next kickoff, old Morgan Childers went down there and just lit a kid up.
He did,
and that was one of my favorite plays of the year.
I mean, who came up with the football? I think it was.
Well, they actually didn't. He didn't fumble on that play. We just had a nice clean hit. But then I think it was it was the second down from scrimmage. They had a low snap and kind of bobbled snap, and Carson Combs came in.
That's what I thought it was.
Got the ball, and we had a blitz called, so it kind of worked out in our favor, and we came up with it. And then JJ with an outstanding run, just doing what JJ does. Kind of a broken play. I think we were trying to throw the ball over to the right side of the field, and JJ, scrambles around and winds up back on the left side. Camito gets a nice little block and gets in the end zone. So, yeah, I mean, 14 points, 52 seconds. That's a heck of a way to start.
That block by Camito,
yes.
Coach, John and I mean, you could see it developing, and that's one thing that's really nice about setting up there is you can see all this stuff, coming. And Philip cleaned that, or I said Philip. I can do that every week. Patrick, great block on that play that, of course, then just bring JJ kind of for after that, not much more that he had to do to get in there. But
yeah, that block was kind of a topic of discussion in the locker room after the game, and probably on the bus ride home, and then for the next 2 days at practice. And depending on who you talk to, Camito either blocked that kid or that kid trucked Camito. So
well, I'm telling you, we went crazy on that, and I'm telling you, Camito, I'm going to give it to him. I think he blocked that kid. What do you think?
I thought so, because I thought he was looking at him. I thought he got turned around and was just kind of sitting there waiting like the cat on the mouse.
And I saw Camito do his little flex as he was leaving. So
I thought that's big number 70, wasn't it? Their defensive end. That kid's a heck of a football player. I don't know that I'd step in front of him. So kudos to Patrick for stepping in there. That kid's he's a dang good football player.
So, Coach, let's see. I'll talk a little bit about Little Muffin there. And I told him after the game, man, this game, of course, he had 2 touchdown catches, but that first one, I mean, it was a great catch. JJ put the ball on the money, and but I felt like that was probably his best game of this year.
Yeah, I mean that was his best catch of the year for sure. I mean, just ran a great route, got behind the kid, and high pointed the ball in the end zone, and I mean that's what we know Cody brings to our offense, and we've kind of moved him around a little bit, and I know it's frustrating for him, but we're finding ways to get him behind the defense finally, and getting those plays, and keep going up and making great catches like that. That was like you said, his best game of the year so far.
We talked a lot about we've talked a lot about our team just completely getting better week by week, and we're seeing that. And I think we've talked on this show too, the group that always gets left out, and they're the most important group in my opinion, are offensive line and defensive line. We gave Keegan Daniels was our hometown furniture athlete of the week this week, just because he played amazing. But it was him, the line play as a whole, was amazing. What does that do for us?
Yeah, it's big for us to be able to run the football. That's something that since the Aurora game, we've looked at and said we've got to be able to run the football and to win games in this conference, and on our schedule and against the opponents that we've got. And our offensive line has stepped up huge to be able to do that. Obviously, the addition of Keegan. I think Keegan started the game off with a massive pancake block, and all night he's matched up with arguably, in my opinion, one of the best players in our conference is that defensive end for Marshfield, number 70 that I was talking about. And so Keegan did an outstanding job against him, was physical with him. And then the rest of our offensive line, we've done a lot better at getting up on linebackers. Early in the year, we struggled pretty bad, being able to work up on linebackers. So, we would get the front three blocked, but then we'd stay on blocks too long. And so we kind of had to change some mentality a little bit in our blocking scheme and, rep that kind of stuff. But, man, yeah, offensive line, tremendous especially the last 3 weeks have just been extremely physical.
Getting better each week. Hey, this is your opportunity, too, if you're at home. If you got a question for Coach Talbert to ask, you got a question about football, our team, or where we're going, now's your time to ask. We do have a question from Coach Loffer. He wants to know, what seed is Raj looking at for our district?
I believe we're locked into the 4 seed right now. We'll be playing Marshfield at home, and I don't think that any outcome of any game this weekend will change that seeding with Carl Junction playing up, and so they'll play a Class 6, and so at this point we're pretty well locked into that seed.
Yep.
So, Coach, I was going to ask you too that as we've said, our defense has been playing a lot better. I believe we came out of that. I can't remember if it was the Seneca game or Aurora game that you sat right here and said, "That's on me. I will fix it." And I remember after the Cassville game, I said, "Well, Coach, you're a man of your word. You fixed it." Now, one thing I was wanting to ask you was, it seemed like in the beginning of the game that our defense had a little bit of struggle there when they were running the ball up the middle on us.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. I was actually just on the phone with Coach Bull out in Marshfield, and he brought it up to me. I mean, that's right now they are super talented on the edge, and so we knew we had to defend the edge really well. We had to get pressure on their quarterback. We had to defend that outside, and we did a tremendous job with it. Now, the sacrifice you get into that is you wind up with the light box, and so we wound up with the light box a lot. And their running back is a pretty good high school running back, and he's a sophomore. He's going to be a great running back, in my opinion, that we're going to have to deal with for the next 2 years. But we felt like we were going to pick the less of two evils and try to give up, a little bit on the ground in the middle to keep big plays from happening, and to work the ball out of their quarterback's hand as quick as we could. And I thought we were really successful with that. we've got to go back. We changed some things defensively. Our defensive ends have got to be a little bit more heavy in B gap. We've got to do some better stuff out of our inside linebackers. But yeah, I mean they got what they wanted in the middle, and that was, I won't say it was intentional, because you've got to hope you can defend in that situation. But we were going to sit and keep big plays from happening. And if you noticed, when it really got going, we would jump into our forefront and slow it down a little bit. We didn't always stop it. I mean, they got a couple in the end zone on us, doing that. But yeah, I mean, that was the whole idea behind it.
I want to stick on defense for a little bit. We talk about the Comitos, we talk about, on defense, the Coles, I got one I want to talk about later, so I don't want to talk about him yet. And we talk about Palin, but he plays such a big role every week in that game. And he's kind of, I've said it show after show, he's that kind of quiet guy that just, is amazing, is an amazing defensive player for us. And we're calling his name all the time, but, we don't talk about him a ton.
Yeah, I mean, Clay's in the backfield a lot. We bring him on edge pressure quite a bit. We play a lot of coverage behind him and try to get him. He's long. He's got a little bit of speed. He's got a little shake about him, and so all those things make him a good edge rusher. And so we try to get pressure in a quarterback's face, and he's doing a good job of it. And so he always kind of seems to be around the ball. We put him in the backfield quite a bit with our scheme stuff, and he does a great job with it. I think if Clay had 2 more years to play football, he would be just an absolute animal. Like I said, I wish we'd have had more time with him, but we're sure enjoying coaching him right now.
He seems to get through blocks very well, and then he has a speed about him that, when you think someone's going to get the corner on you, all of a sudden Flash comes out of nowhere and saves us, 6-7 yards.
Yeah, he's one of the best. At the beginning of the year, when I came in, I tried to run a 3-4 defense, and we just didn't have the guys to be outside linebackers. That's a really tough position. It's a position that you're put in space and you're asked to, collapse the C gap and, squeeze the C gap, but you're supposed to keep your outside shoulder free at the same time, and you're supposed to be able to, make a play on an outside run game, and we just didn't have, whether I couldn't coach them to do it, or we just didn't have the right personnel for it. And then this year we start into a forefront, and we have some success in it, but we struggle. We didn't have the personnel necessarily for the forefront this year, so we get into our 3-4, and Clay just found home. He found the spot he was supposed to be in, and that is a very tough thing to do. Is squeeze a gap while keeping your outside shoulder free, and then be able to redirect and tackle a running back who's probably faster than you by keeping the angle. So, yeah, great job. Gavin White's the guy that's doing it on the other side of the field. We saw JJ in that role a little bit this week. So, it's a tough spot, but those guys are doing a great job with it.
Clay had one play there. It would have been right in front of our bench, kind of midfield, where it looked like he was coming in on a blitz, and their running back actually picked him up. But if he wouldn't have, Clay had a beeline for that Marshfield quarterback.
Yeah, that was kind of the whole idea Friday. We just, even though that kid's getting picked up by a running back, he's still, that's pressure on a high school quarterback, and so we try to bring that as much as we could, and we've got to find, some different and creative ways to do that again, knowing that we've got to play Marshfield again here in another week.
Yeah, so kind of transition in just a second to offense, and I don't think it's been any secret that JJ has been banged up most of the season, but you look at him the last 2 games. He was on the show with us Sunday night, and we had a good time. He's such a good kid, but I feel like he's where we thought he'd be at the beginning of the year, prior to the injury. He's playing amazing.
Yeah, legs wise, he looks good. He's got the speed back, and he's got the ability and the shake and everything that we knew he had. And so that opens up our running game so much. I mean, you're seeing some results. Our offensive line, like you said, doesn't get enough credit. But, the other thing that doesn't get enough credit is JJ's ability to put a defense in a bind. And so, some of the running game stuff that we had, not to take away from Caleb Cole or Luke Hour or our offensive line, but JJ kind of makes that all go a little bit. And we put a lot of responsibility on him, in our read game that we run, our running game. And, he's healthy, and, he looks like he's healthy out there.
I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I felt like JJ had the most accurate passing game also there Friday night. We've already talked about the first touchdown pass of the game to Little Muffin, and then, of course, later in the game, he puts one down to Cookie that I would tell you if that ball was 2 inches in any other direction than what it was, we wouldn't have got it. We either would a touchdown an interception, or Cookie would have been out of bounds. He was right there on the line, and kudos to Cookie because that was one of the best high school catches I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was an awesome play, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I just, climbed the ladder and went up and got it. And, you watch the film back and he doesn't push off. He just does a great job of going up and getting it and taps his toe in and makes a great catch. But, JJ's throwing the ball really well right now. And, I think a lot of that has to do with confidence. It's hard to come back from an injury and play with any kind of confidence. It is. Especially at that position. And so a lot of times you see a little bit of struggle there for a couple weeks or, for a few days. And I don't think necessarily that JJ had any struggle. It's just, he has found a different level over the last couple weeks that, I'll be honest with you. I kind of expected him to play at a high level. I don't know that I expected him to do what he's done the last couple weeks. It's been pretty special and pretty entertaining to watch.
You need to have one of your coaches dedicated to, teaching these guys how to do interviews. Because I talked to Cookie after the game, and I said, "Man, you toe tapped that in perfect. Did you just look down and see it?" Because I was guessing. You always say, "No, man. I drug those feet. I drug that foot in." And
noticed it out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah, I was just, I'll tell you the other side of this too, and I hate to be that guy that says the same thing every show, but it is true. Is like, we get better week after week, and I'm seeing a ton more discipline. And I'm not saying they were undisciplined, but especially from some of our younger guys. We talked about Palin and all them, and just playing as that complete offense and defense, unit out there.
Yeah, there was some things that we needed to clean up on Friday. We put the ball on the ground a couple of times, and that was something we prided ourselves on for the 2 previous weeks that we hadn't done that. Luckily, we didn't lose anything, major there, but we got to do a better job taking care of the football. And then penalties, again, penalties went away for about a 4-game span, and unfortunately we got, bit by the penalty bug a little bit Friday night, and it's frustrating. I think at one point in the game we had 7 or 8 penalties to their 1, and that shows that we're lacking in a little bit of that discipline, and so we addressed that this week, talked about it. Hopefully we get better at that. Holding was our deal early in the year, and I think we've done a great job at eliminating that with our receivers. I think we had a block in the back that was pretty frustrating that we shouldn't have had, but as a whole, we've cleaned it up, and I think our players are starting to believe in themselves and each other, and we're not trying to find answers, and that whole more discipline and complete approach happens when that starts happening. They start trusting each other as much as they are.
It's fun to watch. We say it every week, but it just gets more fun. It was never mind. I'll let Stephen go on. I got another question later, but
you made me think of one that I wanted to say is, we go to Nevada, and I know me and John kind of looked at each other because if my memory's right, we went up 14-0 pretty quick there, and we think, ooh, this is the real deal. And of course, we end up losing that game, and then we all know we should have beat Seneca. or we feel like, I think that's one, if we did again, we would have a victory there. Um, then we go into our 3-game win streak there with Cassville Catholic and Mount Vernon. And you start, we got the momentum, but that those programs are down a little bit. And I wonder, is this the real deal? And I think the last 2 weeks we've proven that we're the real deal.
Yeah, I want to tag on just to your question real quick, because I mean, it adds to what you said. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Marshall. They're a great program. We've watched them week after week, and they made me extremely nervous. But at no point did I feel uncomfortable in that game. I kind of felt like from the moment that was, we kind of set that. What am I trying to say? We kind of set it from the start, and we just kept the foot on the gas the entire time.
Yeah, they found a little momentum. We were up 14-0, and then they drive the field, and I don't know, it was 7 or 8 plays. They just kind of ran it, like you said, up the middle, and it took me a minute to make an adjustment. And by the time we made an adjustment, they had punched one in, and the score's 14-7. But then just an immediate answer right after that, and it's just got to make you feel good, and at that point you kind of feel like, okay, well, we're gonna put some points on the board tonight. One of the things, as if I'm nitpicking as a coach, the drive before halftime, we got to get that cleaned up. We can't let a team score before halftime. That's been a pet peeve of mine since the beginning of the year. We've done a tremendous job the last 3 or 4 weeks, but Friday night we gave that up, and we had, I think, what we wanted to have. We just kind of had a little bit of a busted, not a busted coverage. We just had a misunderstanding as to what our zone was. And, Bryant Bull made a nice play, and, the kid got in the end zone. And so we've got to shore that up a little bit, right there before halftime. Because that's they come out after halftime. We go in 35-7 at halftime. That's a big deal. We go in 35-14, and then we come out right after halftime. We give up a touchdown, and all of a sudden now it's a 2-score game when, like you said, we felt like we were in control of the entire game.
I know I want to talk about Howard Power was the other defensive player I want to spend a little bit of time talking about. I got a 2-part question with him. I mean, really the statement of he's been so good, him and Cole, on defense. I noticed, and I don't know if this is by design, or I know, Caleb went in with a shoulder injury that kind of made us hold our breath for a couple plays, and he was back out there. But it seems like we're using Luke Howard a lot in the red zone, or it seemed that way Friday night.
Yeah, I think some of that had to do with we're aware Luke is a tremendous runner, and so we're trying to find him carries when you can. And Caleb gets on a roll, and sometimes you forget to get Luke in there, and so. As a coaching staff, I mean, that's a conscious decision of ours, making sure that, Luke is getting carries too, because, man, you need 2 backs. And with the way injuries are and that kind of stuff, you've got to be able to have both of those guys playing at their top level. But, yeah, Friday night had a lot to do with Caleb being a little bit banged up. And so you get any opportunity that you can get Luke out there and let him grind a little bit. It's a great deal. Luke's a huge asset to us on defense, and so is Caleb. And so, I look for a little bit more balanced attack this week with us being cautious about Caleb's shoulder. Luke has carried a lot of the load in practice, and, man, he's shown that he's the real deal. And I'm pretty excited to see what he's going to do Friday when he gets his opportunities.
So, Coach, on Caleb, because I had something wrote down there for him. I guess, how much does that, I mean, obviously kind of a dumb question. I mean, how much does that bother him? And, I mean, how much of a mental role, I guess, maybe mentally does that play? Because I know with me, I'd be pretty reserved at times. I'm not sure what happens, for that shoulder to act up. Is it a certain thing? But if you could talk about that for just a second.
Yeah, I mean, he's been dealing with those shoulders for 2 years now. I mean, I think he had, one shoulder injury during baseball, sliding into a base. And so he's just a kid with loose shoulders. And so, it's kind of an unfortunate deal. He's got a brace on each arm, but, man, I don't know that it affects him at all. I'm sure there's some things that he can't do that he wishes he could do, above his head a little bit. But when he's carrying the ball, I don't see him having any hesitation with it. He's just again, we talked about early in the year, he's a tough kid. He is an extremely tough athlete. He had a hamstring that was just absolutely killing him at the beginning of the year, and you'd have never known it unless somebody told you that he had a hamstring problem. And he was dealing with his shoulder early in the year. And, I mean, that's just the kind of player he is. He's just a really, really tough high school football player.
And I knew that about his hamstring, and I'll say the word that I got was I missed last year of football, and I'm not going to miss another year. And, I mean, hats off that he is one tough kid.
Yeah, he's proved himself to our team, and I think that's why they all are so behind him. He's proved himself as an animal, as a tough kid.
I run into Sugar Bear from time to time, Logan White.
And Gavin White.
Or Gavin White. Sorry, I wrote. Same line. Yeah, and I'm getting them.
Just stick with the nickname, John.
Yeah. But run into Sugar Bear, and he had asked us a few games ago. He said, "Are you going to interview me on the field?" And I said, "Are you going to, play in a way that we'll interview you after?"
Got to produce.
And he's a great kid. And I went up to him. We hands down thought he was one of the ones we wanted to talk to Friday night. It seemed like that kid was all over the field. I mean, he was hitting hard. It seemed like he was just kind of in a different zone Friday night, and it was good to see him. We probably called his name 20 plus times.
Yeah. And, the cool thing about that, Gavin's one that we've depended a lot on in the last couple of years. And, with Gavin, it's one of those things you always keep thinking, well, we may have somebody stronger. We may have somebody bigger, that'll step into that role and take it for Gavin. And then, no, it ain't happening. He's going to fight for his spot. And he's another extremely tough football player that's just going to absolutely grit it out. But, the cool thing about Friday night, and, to mention this, we actually used JJ in his position, probably 10 or 15 times to just either get pressure or be able to play a little bit of man coverage out of that spot, out of our will linebacker. And Gavin, a lot of players in that situation are going to hang their head and feel like they're doing something wrong, or, be disappointed that they're not, they're getting 10 reps of their game taken away. And, I mean, Gavin was the exact opposite. He was so excited, that JJ was going to get in there and make a play, and understood, there are just some things that JJ's speed allows him to do a little bit different. And man, that was fun to see. I really felt like, you're right, I thought Gavin had the best game he's had this year. And, that's pretty cool to see a senior have his best game whenever he's had some reps taken away from him, to get another guy on the field.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought as you guys said, best game of the year. And I think he's also the type of kid that'll fuel him for this week. I think, you get a little feather in your hat, and I think I expect to see big things out of him come Friday night.
Yeah, we talked, and I don't know if he talked on the show, but, it seems like Coach Bruffett's been on the field calling plays, and JJ brought it up Sunday. He said it motivates him. Is that your intention to keep him on the field, throughout these games, or is that something you don't want to talk about? Or
no, I mean, whenever I got here 4 years ago, Coach Bruffett was on the field with me, and called plays, and last year's team, it just worked best for last year's team for him to be in the box, and we moved him to the box last year. I think we were 2-2, and we rattled off a 5-game win streak with him in the box. And there's some things you see in the box that you don't see on the field, but I also feel like we're a little bit more mature as a coaching staff and more mature as a program. And so, at some point you're down, you're 0-3, and you just get your tails whipped by Aurora, and So you've got to look at everything, and that's what we did. We sat in the coach's office, and my coaches were probably there till 2 a.m. after playing Aurora, and then back up there at 7 o'clock on Saturday, and there till 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and we're heartbroken at that point, and we're frustrated, and so every idea is on the table, and that was a staff decision we made as a group that's what we're going to do, and it's been working for us. There's some great reasons to have your coordinator in the box, and then there's some great reasons to not have your coordinator, or to have your coordinator on the field. And JJ sees it as a quarterback. As a quarterback, having the guy that's ultimately calling the play on the field is a cool deal for him. But as coaches, you see other aspects of it, and so there were reasons we moved him up to the box, but it wasn't right for our team this year. And like I said, I feel like our coaching staff is a little more mature. We've had several different coaches in the box this year. Coach O'Neill was in the box a little bit at the beginning of the year, and Coach Bruffett, and then Coach Collins spent some time. One guy that you guys may not even realize, Will Rodden, our middle school head coach, is at every game, and he's in the box and giving us a tremendous amount of information. And so, right now you've got Coach Kinsinger and Coach Rodden up there in the box, and both of those guys are, doing a great job. One guy on defense and one guy on offense, and I feel like the guys on the sideline right now, between myself, Coach Bruffett, Coach Collins, we've got Coach Pritchard, and then Coach O'Neill, and then Coach Daniels. I mean, we have some pretty good coaches, guys that are very focused on correcting mistakes and correcting, our kids as they come off on the sideline. That's an emphasis we had to put on, and kudos to all of our coaches for getting that done and making it work.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Coach Rodden is laser focused, because we walked out. We like to go at halftime. We kind of shut our thing down. Gives us a breather. We go say hi to the fans, and I said, I think we gave him a thumbs up, or he didn't even look up from what I think he was getting on the iPad or something. I think he gave us a quick. I mean, he was so laser focused. It was pretty neat. Got a question from Ryan White, and he says, can you talk about a little bit about calling the D? Is it mostly from a lot of feedback from the booth, or is it more of a feel during the game, or maybe a bit of both?
That's a good question. It just depends. Personnel is a big deal for me as a defensive coordinator. I'm a very detail oriented as far as what personnel is on the field, because if you study your opponent, you kind of understand some stuff. And honestly, the hardest teams to defend, in my opinion, are the teams that don't change their personnel a whole lot. So if you notice, structure-wise, offensively, we try to do that. I mean, we try to move and get guys in different positions without moving guys off of the field. But, as far as calling the plays and then figuring out what we're going to be in defensively, we're pretty we got our idea made up pretty much before the game, and then we try to execute it, and then we try to keep our corrections pretty minimal, pretty small. One thing that I talked about last week we had some issues with was our defensive ends, getting into C gap when they should have been in B gap, and trying to control the offensive line in that manner. But yeah, I mean, as far as I like to see the formation. I like to call the defense based on what I'm seeing. Our coaches, I'm probably yelling way too much into the box. I need a formation and I need personnel, and they give us a lot of information, or give me a lot of information than gets out to the kids.
I'm going to I was going to say, one of the neat things that when I was walking off the field, it was a pretty big win for the Wildcats. I felt very confident we would win that game just because of the way we've been playing. But it was like I say, complete game. When we came off the field, one of the senior players was pretty upset, and his mom wrapped her arms around him and said, "They're just a really good team, and they're better than us. It's okay." And I thought it was pretty neat to hear other parents recognize that, because that's a hard thing. I mean, when we lose, I'm not happy. It's not that I'm mad at anybody. I just, we want our teams to win. And so I thought that was kind of a neat thing from the Marshfield players and their fans. We talked about another thing that Ryan White and Steven and I talked about is we feel, and maybe there already is a name, it needs a good name. Marshfield, Rogersville needs a good name. And so I thought of two. Battle for Webster County was what Alicia had said. I said a highway showdown, and there needs to be a traveling trophy. Do we have any of that?
If there's a traveling trophy, I don't know about it, but they announced it as the Battle for Webster County on, their announcer did before.
So Alicia plagiarized?
So she might have. I think she probably heard that from somewhere.
Alicia Pope? She tried to pass it off as her own. I like Battle for Webster County.
Yeah, maybe not though. Maybe I just heard that in my own mind.
We'll talk to her after the show.
Yeah.
But they're not what you'd expect from a school teacher.
But a traveling trophy would be cool. Kind of like they do in some of the big college football games, and we get our name on there the years we win and stuff. What do you think about that?
No, that's a cool idea. I mean, if that's something that Marshfield's interested in, it'd definitely be something we'd love. And creating rivalries in sports is really good. That's a great thing for any sport. Our players a lot of times view Springfield Catholic as the rivalry. And, in my opinion, I think Marshfield to me is a little bit bigger rivalry for us. They're our size. They're another public school, and I love playing those guys. It's been really fun over the last 4 years. They were significantly better than us for two of those 4 years, and then I felt like we flipped the script and we're better than them. The last 2 years, and unfortunately we got to turn around and play them again next week.
The Hammer's awarded at the Mill on Thursday nights, and so last week it was Caleb Cole, yes. I believe. Yeah. I believe I kind of have an idea maybe who's a front runner for this week, but that was one of the questions asked. Caleb Cole was last, and that was for the Hollister game, and so they haven't awarded for the Marshfield game yet. The Hammer, correct?
No, we have not.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll announce that to our kids on at our team meal on Thursday.
Big game Friday night. Reeds is coming here. They played Aurora tough. Aurora was down 14-0 going into the half. Aurora was without Cole Roman, which is one of their bigger players. What do you expect out of Reeds?
They're going to be a big, group up front. They have pretty good size on their line. They're big guy Caden Weist is a heck of a high school football player that likes to finish blocks and is extremely physical. They have some fast kids in the backfield. Their quarterback can throw the ball pretty well. Defensively, we expect them, to be in their 4-4 that they play, or 4-2-5, however you want to look at it. And they're a good, sound football team. Again, at this point in the year, I think they've dealt with some injuries, for the second year in a row. And so we know that they're better than their record shows, I think, at this point. Like we said, Aurora's obviously, got after us in week 3. And so, we know what Aurora's capable of doing. And they played Aurora pretty close and on film looked pretty good on that game. And so we expect a heck of a football game, and we're excited and ready for it.
So, Coach, do you feel this is a trap game?
Oh, I don't know. I don't like to label trap games. I think this is a game that we're going to have a lot of kids pretty emotional before the game. Senior night, and our seniors, I walked in the door 4 years ago and promised them the world. And, they've done everything that they could possibly do to reach for it. And, we're dang proud of them. And they've done a tremendous job of getting our program right and putting us in my opinion, not just a good product on the field, but a good product off the field. I think our kids are highly invested in who we're trying to be, which is, good people. And so I think that there's going to be some emotions Friday night, but I don't necessarily think a trap game. We're just going to have to play good football football. We're going to have to do everything that we've done over the last 5 weeks, and reproduce that and not go backwards and not have some sort of relapse.
And it should be emotional. I mean, you look at these kids and, they've given 4 years. 4 years of, everything they've got. Whether, whatever role your team is, your position is on the team. Got a question. Are the JV boys done for the year?
No, they're not. We're going to play against Reed Spring. I talked with Coach McFarland. We will have a game Monday night at Reed Spring. As far as I know right now, last year that was going to be the case, and then we knocked their starting quarterback out and then proceeded to knock their backup quarterback out. And so they finished the game in week 10 with the freshman quarterback. And so, things can change, but I don't anticipate that happening. Coach McFarland's pretty set on wanting to play a JV game. I think they had lost a JV game one of the weeks prior. We had lost one to Hollister, and so both of us agreed that that's priority number one for us to be able to have our young kids playing a game Monday night.
Well, I think it's going to be an amazing atmosphere. It is our last home game, regular season home game. Are we going to play you said we were playing districts at home.
Yeah, there's no way for us to drop below the 5.
Okay.
Even if we were to lose this week and Marshfield was to win big, we would still be a 4-5 with Marshfield. If they were the 4, because we beat them in the regular season, we would jump them in the head-to-head, and we would be the 4 seed, and they would be the 5. So as far as I know, this. I don't know if you've ever looked at this formula, but my gosh,
I tried.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I did physics in college, and I couldn't even remotely understand some of these things and why.
There's a rhyme and reason for it all. And
will that be a Thursday night game?
No, Friday night.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they changed that format several years ago, where I think it was a Thursday, then a Saturday, then a Wednesday or something, sort of madness, and so it's played out on Friday nights.
Okay, so we will have 2 weeks of tailgating back to back. We are going to call the game. Unfortunately, we will not be live broadcast. Reeds, we will live broadcast. The district game, we will not. We'll have a logo on the there, but you will hear the sweet sounds of Stephen and I calling the game against Marshfield. So, anything else, Coach, that really you want to say that we forgot?
No, I don't think so. Our last home game, the atmosphere was absolutely unbelievable, and that plays a huge role in our success at home. And so, I just asked for that same support, and I know our players are going to give everything they got Friday night and hopefully get it taken care of. But yeah, that atmosphere and that support out of our community, our student section, the band, the parents, all the people crowding the track. Man, it's special. It's cool. And so, hopefully we see that Friday night, and we look forward to doing our best for everybody.
Not to take anything away from the crowd at the game, the crowd at the tailgating was huge that night.
Yeah.
And I know I've heard Chris Combs say before, this is what we were wanting when we started all this. So, again, encourage everyone to get out, tailgate with us.
Starting at 4.
And then what time does the senior recognition start, Coach?
6:30.
So 6:30. Yeah. So you're going to have to eat a little quicker than normal, but get down for that senior recognition and watch those boys that have put in years of blood, sweat, and tears into the program.
Come holler at Stephen and I. I'm making walking tacos. I think you're making a little something else, but we always have plenty of food. Love to talk LR football. Let's pack it out, folks. This Reeds is going to be a tough game. Going forward, they're all tough. But, one of the things we talked to JJ about Sunday is he's like, he hears that band, he hears those palms, he hears the cheerleaders, he hears the fans. And obviously, that takes you to a different level. So if you don't think home field advantage matters, it absolutely does. Let's pack the stands. Any last thing?
I'm good.
I got one. Coach. Boomer, you got anything to say? Boomer?
No, we'll see. Hey,
okay.
Baylor's got one loss right now.
Yeah, I'm
Oklahoma's-
scared of Baylor.
Yeah, so
I
we'll
thought
see.
maybe I'd get a Sooner or something, but
that Big 12 championship's got to go through Waco last
Yeah,
time I checked.
it
so.
does. It does. So, all right, guys. Hey, we'll see you Friday night. Go Cats.